Today's question is, what if the Soviets won the Cold War? Well, let's find out. The Soviet Union at the end of the Cold War needed to make some changes, but while they did do some changes, it ended up tearing down the Soviet Union. So I will go and fix their mistakes. But remember to take it with a grain of salt, because nothing here will be perfect. Also, if you are wondering why it isn't my voice, it did record my audio, but my mic was muted sadly, and my voice was hurting, so deal with this AI voice for the time being. Main Soviet changes in order for this to happen. So when Gorbachev is the leader, his plans were unrealistic to hold the Soviet Union together, but now I will try to fix this. We will start with each Soviet republic having a little more autonomy when it comes to trading, because they would know what they need better than the leader of the Soviet Union. This will help build back up the trust in the economy of the Soviet Union, which was not doing the best in the late 80s. But another change I will need to make is with Afghanistan. I will say that they never go into Afghanistan and let it play out by itself, unless the Americans get in there, which they won't, because the Soviets would warn them. And the last notable change would have to be in the military. While it is impressive, it needs to modernize and fast. They need all of the best equipment and generals to make sure they can do what they want in the future. So now, with the changes out of the way, what is the plan to win the Cold War? The plan is simple. Just hold on until the economy recovers. I believe that would most likely be in the late 1990s. But they will beat the Americans by focusing on having a better economy than the States, while also building up a better military. In theory, this would cause the American public to lash out at whoever is president when this event occurs. I'd say it would cause so much trouble it could cause another civil war. Now, of course, there would be other things to help cause this, as this would be huge. Now let's see how this plan plays out. We are in the 1990s and Gorbachev is letting the Soviet Republic have more economic freedom to trade with whomever they like that the Soviets will allow. Obviously they wouldn't be trading with the States. That would just be crazy. But with this new economic freedom, the Soviet republics grow closer together, as they know this is the best they can hope for in an economy. With this build-up of trust now being common knowledge in the States, they would try to weaken the Soviet economy by yelling at countries to stop trading with them. But of course they wouldn't listen, as the Soviets are still a good trading partner. This would be the first build-up of American unrest, but the fall wouldn't come too soon. It is now 1994 and the Soviets have survived for another 3 years. Here is where the military would start to modernize to make the Americans grow more angry and fight themselves in the process. This new modernization would be tested by calming down Yugoslavia, which at this point is not acting the best. After the Soviets would repress the rebellions and set up a stronger Yugoslavia, the message was clear: we can hold on for decades to come, so give up now, you stinky Americans. They still would not give up. But something really crazy will happen, as it is at the end of 1999 and there is a little scare called Y2K. The scare would be the same, but remember, it wasn't real. So this would give the Soviets a laugh as it turns into the new millennia. At the start of the 2000s we would have the Soviet military getting a lot of practice suppressing rebellions in the Warsaw Pact. You know, an everyday thing for them. But we would have them build up more economy and military strength, so when the US economy crashed in 2008 it would be even more devastating. Now of course this wasn't just to the US, but with the new Soviet system in place it wouldn't affect them so much. Now let's take a look inside the States right now. George Bush would not be president anymore and is replaced with Obama, who doesn't have a last name. With Obama being president, a lot would happen. He would try to fix the economy, but only make it worse, which would cause the states to plan a civil war. It would be 5 whole years since the economy was trashed, and now they are ready to pounce. The only states not breaking away would be the East Coast besides Florida, Georgia and the Carolinas. But they would be put down with forces. Now they would need to decide what would happen next. The Congress of America is called, and they would decide on what happens to the 50 states after the collapse. The New England area would stay as the United States of America. Texas and Oklahoma would form the Second Republic of Texas. The Midwest would form the Republic of Corn. Get the joke? But I will keep this in the scenario just for fun. California becomes California, which is the biggest problem now. Cascadia forms. New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, and Colorado form the 5 United Republics. We have the rest of the South forming the United Southern States of America, and the rest just getting independence. With this, the Soviets have now just won the Cold War. How the US dying changed the world. The states dying would make the world much harder for everyone. Canada and Mexico would have to work together. And a weird alliance with the Soviets would form over the untrustworthy new countries in North America. The world would become closer to the Soviets because of this, making them the only superpower until China tries to test them in the future. The Soviets would now take over the EU and NATO and form just the United European Economic and Military Alliance, also known as the UEMA. They would let Germany unite but under communism, and Europe would live happily ever after for about 10 years. This is the end of this scenario now. I know it is unrealistic, but I had fun making it. I have no idea what to do next, so please, if you made it this far, give me an idea for a future scenario down in the comments. But for now, sire,